Welcome to Loving Life, a guide to a positive mindset. I'm your host, Lisa. I'm a mindset and energy coach, and each week you'll discover mindset shifts, energy practices, and real life tools to help you feel more confident, calm, and in flow, because you deserve to love the life you're creating. I'm so glad you're here with me. Let's get going on today's episode. Welcome to this week's episode of Loving Life. Now, if you are doing all the journaling, the affirmations, have your boundaries in place, you are healing, you have a routine, yet you're still feeling behind and like you should be further along, then this episode is for you. And today we are talking about invisible overwhelm. Now, before we go any further, you might notice a difference in the audio sound. I do apologise. This is just the standard mic on my laptop. It was the same last week, although last week's was unintentional. I didn't realise until I published the episode, but there we go. That is me doing what I tell you to do and dropping the perfectionism. I could have gone back over last week's episode and re-recorded it using my mic, but I thought, do you know what? No, I'm not going to. I've recorded an episode and it's fine. So here we are. Another week without my microphone, but I will not make a habit of it. So I do apologise if this audio is not up to scratch and up to my normal standard, but I'm letting shit go. So I would love for you to join me on that journey. Now, before we go any further with this week's episode, last week I forgot to have a look at the highest amount of downloads. So let's not forget about that this week. Let's have a look now and see. Okay, so this week, the highest amount of downloads was Bristol. So thanks to my Bristol gang. The next place with the highest amount of downloads was Houston in Texas. Wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for sharing. And thanks for all your support. It really means the world. And my biggest aim with this podcast is to reach as many women as possible who want to feel more control over their emotions or want to feel calmer rather than overwhelmed. Want to have a more positive mindset. So by sharing with people who you feel will have an interest in those kind of topics, we are spreading the love. We are raising the vibration of the world. The world might be a bit optimistic there, but hey, you reach for the stars. Okay, on to this week's episode. When we are working on ourselves, when we are on a personal development journey, when we start to find things that we feel that will work for us, we get very excited and we sometimes try to implement everything that we are learning at once. We are trying to make too many changes. And I know I did exactly this about, what year are we in now? 26. I probably did this about 5 years ago. I tried to implement everything that I was learning. I had my vision boards. I was writing mantras out like 3 times a day. I had all the affirmations. I was listening to subliminals multiple times a day. Now you might be thinking, did you not have anything else to do with your time? But bearing in mind 5 years ago was lockdown. We were still in those horrible COVID times. I say horrible. It was a very good time for me actually, because it was very much a massive part of my self-development journey. Anyway, I digress. I remember trying to be on top of all of those things, and it felt like I was very self-aware all of a sudden. I was very self-aware of all the things that I needed to change. But the problem is when you try and fix everything in life simultaneously, you've got so much on your plate. And of course, this is going to lead to overwhelm. So if you are trying to change too much at once, you might find that you are consuming loads of self-help, but actually you're applying nothing. You might start routines but drop them really quickly. Oh, that is a classic sign of overwhelm. You might feel guilty for resting. You might feel constantly like you're behind and that you're not doing enough. You might jump from one method to another. So often when we, like I said, when we try to fix everything at once, it quite often backfires on us. And you might find that your body is trying to tell you to slow the F down. So you might find that you are constantly holding your neck and shoulders. You are clenching your jaw or maybe even grinding your teeth at night. You might find that you are sighing a lot. You might find that you have sudden energy crashes. You might find that you're constantly tired even after you've had a good night's sleep. You potentially might have trouble concentrating or finishing tasks. Now, I do realise that a lot of these things also cross over with symptoms of perimenopause. So it's really important to notice the difference. Like, what do you put down to perimenopause and what do you put down to overwhelm? But actually, if you do put it down to perimenopause, like, could it also be your body telling you that if you deal with this one symptom and treat it as overwhelm, then that symptom might ease itself? So I guess like that's a really interesting point as well to consider, is like, don't just write something off because you've been told that it's a symptom of perimenopause. Like, that doesn't mean that you have to put up with it. Now, the reason why our nervous system gets overwhelmed, overloaded when we try to fix everything else, everything at once, is often because we are actually experiencing identity confusion. Like, you are trying to change things that have been habitual for you for years. So it would be understandable that your system has got confused, like, what the hell is going on here? We often don't give these new things that we're trying time to work before we move on to the next thing. And that often leads to us either giving up or adding so much that we get overwhelmed and then give it all up. So I just want to encourage you, as a simpler way forward, just bring it back to basics. Try one thing at a time. So maybe what you could try is focusing on one emotional theme at a time. So if there is a particular emotion or a particular theme that you want to improve in your life, focus on one at a time. If you want to change your career, if you want to upgrade your love life, if you want to improve your family relationships, if we try and improve all of those things at once, then we are focusing on so many different emotional aspects. Focus on one at a time and maybe focus on it for a month. That is exactly what we do in the inner circle. We focus on one emotional theme. We actually focus on the chakras, but we link it to an emotional theme that is linked with that chakra. But that helps us deal with those things, improve those things, make the changes that we need to change. And then once we have got a little bit of regularity with that thing, that new thing that we're trying to introduce, then we move on to the next thing. So my invitation to you this week is, what can you simplify? What can you focus on that other things can wait? Like, what is the biggest area that you want to change in your life right now? And focus on that. And don't worry about everything else. You can do something else another month. Okay, I'm going to go because Rufus is sat next to me and as usual, he can't keep still. So thank you for joining me today. Now, next week is episode 150. Can you believe it? So I have got a massive favour to ask you. I would love for you to head over to my Instagram page, Lisa Davidge _loving life, or you could just type in loving life and hopefully I'll come up. But I would love you to head to my stories and answer my question about what subjects you would like me to talk about next week, or questions that you have got for me. I would love to bring some of your questions to the podcast for this milestone episode. 150 episodes, people. Thank you so much. You have been here with me for 150 episodes. Can you believe it? So I will speak to you next week. I look forward to your questions, and I look forward to hearing how you feel when you give yourself permission to just focus on one area of growth at a time. I'm sending you so much love. I will see you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could take a moment to subscribe, rate, and if you're listening on Apple, as 95% of you do, review. It really helps the podcast reach more people who are ready to shift their mindset and raise their vibration. And if you know someone who would benefit from today's episode, feel free to share it with them. Until next time, keep loving life and know that I'm sending you so much love.